Sit up straight, everybody. It's Wellness Week. Wellness Week has its own song. Stephanie meets Mommy Mondays. Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Wellness Week Live. So today's topics. Let's get right to it. Let's not BS anymore. Okay. So if you came into $50 million, okay, what would you do, and how would your life? Obviously, it would change, but maybe not how you think. My other thing is my final review of the BetterHelp app for counseling, which I did for I think 2 months. So I'm going to give you my final review. I did one initial review at the beginning, and now I'm going to cap it off with the final review and a review of my dinner club. So I started a dinner club. Steph, you know this, but for the viewers, I started a dinner club where once a month we patronize a local restaurant in our area, but no one can bring cell phones. The cell phones have to stay in the car to foster conversation, to be in the moment, to be here, to hear, smell, see the sights, and really kind of all inclusive. Just be in the moment. So I'm going to give my review of this past Saturday. We did this for the first time, and it was amazing. So those are the three topics today. Wellness Week Live. Let's do it. Okay, Steph, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, okay. So let's talk about, $50 million. I mean, it's right up there on the screen here, $50 million. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we're not giving medical advice or anything like that. Always check with your doctors and healthcare professionals, blah, blah, blah. You know. Okay. And don't forget, hey, like and subscribe. Strunzad, ayúdame. Okay. So, 50. The reason why I bring this up, Steph, is because this past week was the NFL draft, where they draft young men from college and they put them into these NFL teams, and they get these huge contracts. They go from basically being poor or middle class to like you're 19, 20, 21, 22, and now you have a 50 million, 40 million, 5 million, whatever, these huge contracts, 3 years, 20 million, signing bonus, 2 million, and you're a child still. You're 21, 20, 21, and you don't come from much. And now, boom, like whoa. Like, how do you manage that? And that would, for anybody, right? I mean, for most people, like, and I was thinking to myself, like, what would I do if, I don't know, like either I won the lottery or I got some big DJ contract, as you know, that's what I do for a living. If some, I don't know, fucking record studio was like, we want to give you 50 million, Anthony, to DJ in Las Vegas, for 3 years or whatever. Like, okay. And besides I'm going to go out and buy a fancy car and buy 10 homes. We're all going to do that. I get it. Okay, once that gets out of the way. So, like, but, how does it change our lives where, you're going to get all these new friends, you're going to get all these relatives that you haven't heard from in 30 years,
Absolutely.
and you do, in my opinion, owe it to some people to take care of some people, no doubt, close friends, close family, or maybe your community want to give back. But, most NFL football players or most professional athletes or most lottery winners, they wind up losing all of their millions and millions quick within 5 years, 10 years, because, they don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to say no. They don't know how to, invest. But I think more often they don't know how to say no. Like, you want to help everyone, but I see some of these kids in the NFL or, again, lottery winners, and like they have like, you see like 70 people in their living room, and all those 70 people in the living room, they're going to want something,
That's right.
and all 70 are not close to you, and even if they are close to you, I think we all have this situation in our lives. We have a family member or a close friend. Hey, man, I need some money, and that's fine. You want to help, and we all need help. But then they come back. Hey, I can. It's like, when do you say, hey, listen, I've already given you, $1 million. Like, I literally, or already given you $30. I don't have more than 30. I'm working 5 jobs. Like, when is it? Hey, So I think what I would do is, yeah, you're going to help who you're going to help. But I think I would, unfortunately, being older, I think I would hide my wealth. I don't think I would flaunt it. I think I would, have the nice this or that. But I don't know. Maybe at events and stuff, I would roll up with my old car. Like, I don't know. It's sad because it's like you want people to be happy for you. And you and I did an episode on this. Like, does a friend have to feel that they're doing better than you for them to be happy? Because even the best of people might get a little envious and jealous, and and then they're not even asking you for money, but now you got that weird concoction going on in the background. So it's like, it could be a curse, like, watch what you wish for, because you may just get it, like Biggie Smalls said, more money, more problems. So, I mean, what would you do, Steph? Okay, you get whatever, 50 million for whatever. I understand you're going to obviously take care of your kid and whatever, but I mean, I don't know, like, How would you handle that?
Listen, I'd love to try.
I would love to fail.
I'd love to
Fail
try.
with 50 million.
50 million, that's so much money that I can't even think about what I would do with that. But I think,
Or what I mean is not what would you do in the sense of how would you spend it? I mean, like, would you hide your wealth? Would you, delete or block certain phone numbers of people? Like, how would you manage? And I'm not talking about investing, but like, would you stay in the same home, or would you stay in the same town, or would you move out of the country? Like how do you manage your life at that point? Because the phone calls are coming in. I mean,
of course they are. Yeah.
coming in, and that's just the people that not these slimy sons of bitches that, hey, I got an investment for you, hey, $25.95.
Those people will slide into.
That?
Those people will slide into for sure.
Right, and those are kind of easier to handle. But what about, again, right? You have a family member. It's like, hey, look, I already gave you 500,000. Like, now you're going to cut that person off, and then that relationship is broken because you didn't want to give them another 500,000. Like, right. Are you ready for that? So, I mean, how would you? Yeah,
I think again, because we're older and wiser, right? So I think the first thing that I would do is hire a financial advisor, because I don't know how to manage $50 million. To be honest with you, that's a lot of money. So that's my first go at that, is to hire somebody to help me manage it. Because I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what $50 million is going to mean long term.
Right. So, and then also you have a spouse, so you have that interaction. Whether it doesn't matter, great relationship, not great relationship, you're going to have that problem, and it is going to be a problem because it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter. You can have the best relationship on earth. You have to have that talk. Hey, look, we got 50 million.
Yeah.
You might want this new boat, and he might want this new car, whatever. Like, but back to the financial advisor. Yeah. And I guess, then you have the thing with your kid, like, oh, mom, I don't know. And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but can I have the brand new Mercedes? Because my friend does. They have it, and they're not as rich as us, or I don't know. Like.
No, I mean, I think like you, I would keep it low key. At least that's what I would hope I would do, because I'm not in that situation. But I don't know. I'm not one to flaunt that kind of thing.
Right. And so there's 50 million, because you could have 50 million from the lottery, which would be public, or you get 50 million, maybe some other ancillary way that's not public, which is an easier lift because then you don't have to disclose anything to anybody. But even that can get kind of tricky because it's like, wait a second, Steph, you went on vacation 7 times this year? Like, people will notice that, so it's like, yeah, you kind of have to,
yeah, when I drop out of all social media, I hit it big because I'm not putting any pictures up.
Oh, no. But it sucks, right? And then we can extrapolate this or deduce this to, it doesn't have to be 50 million. What if your daughter, or anyone, you or whoever, you have a good business idea and wow, this thing takes off and you make 800,000, again, it's like, and people may or may not know, but it sucks because there's always, in my mind, this element of you kind of have to hide shit. You can't, it sucks.
Right.
Now again, obviously, if it's out in the public and you can't hide, but I think there's an old saying, the millionaire next door. It's like, how do you live where you can still maintain friends and family and expectations? It's kind of a curse almost in a way. I mean, again, it said, I think it's easy to say, oh yeah, I would love to have 50 billion, but it comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of arguing. There's going to be people who want more and more and more. And you can say, all right, tell them off. Yeah, but if it's your mother or your father or your kid, or like, you can talk all that shit you want, but you're having that argument now. And now you're having an argument because money doesn't stop arguments. So what?
No.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying people shouldn't strive to make a lot of money. That's a great thing. But yeah, so I wonder, especially when it's so public like that with these professional athletes, it's all over the place. Oh, you signed a $50 million contract. Whoa,
Yeah.
Like, oh, damn, and
well, and then I think what happens is, and I think we've talked about this before, when you're used to a certain income, a lot of times you start to live beyond that income.
Well, that's everybody. It doesn't matter if you make 30,000 a year. It's human. It's a human nature. Very few humans can live within their means.
Within their means,
Right.
right?
And
So now
we're all
you're
guilty to some extent about this, some more than others. But generally speaking, yeah, if you're making 30, you're living to 30,000. You're making 30 million, you're going to live till $30 million every friggin' year. Don't
right.
matter who you are, because you're just going to have more homes, more houses, more boats, more friends, more,
Parties,
more shoes, more, what's that?
more parties where you're paying for
Right.
everybody.
It's all relative. And so I have an old saying, and my saying is, like, generally speaking, if you can't manage $1, you can't manage $2. If you can't manage 2, you can't manage 10. If you can't manage 10, you can't manage 100. If you can't, on and on and on. So, but to your point, yeah, get a financial advisor, right?
Yeah, that would be, but again, this comes from, I know I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And that came with maturity. If you're a 21-year-old and you fell into $50 million,
most of these, and that's why most of the professional athletes, and they go broke. Because again, it's, hey, I have 17.
It happens a lot.
And they act like the 50 million they got for 3 years in the NFL, that's going to keep going forever. No, the average NFL football player only plays for 4 years. Average. So not Tom Brady, who's been there for 20 something. The average NFL football player, 4 years. So you made your millions, but that 4 years in your millions has to stretch out till you die, till you're 80. So when you look at it, you're really not making a lot of money unless you were really smart and you got an actual college degree that you majored in something, not philosophy, and you can parlay that into something. But you're going to have to work, and I think young men, unless they come from good background or they have a good financial advisor, hey, you have whatever, 5 million, 8 million, 10 million for this 3-year contract, but
well, I would argue that if you made $50 million over 4 years and somebody was managing that money for you well, you probably don't have to work for the rest of your life unless you want to, if it's managed well.
And right, or unless you break the money manager's rules and you're like, no, I don't care. I'm dipping into that account. I need the 40 million. Right now. I need it. I mean, people do that, they don't listen to their counsel, or they go against their own better judgments or whatever. And this is just human nature again. And it doesn't have to be 50 million. It could be 500,000, whatever.
Right.
But
in that scenario, when you're talking about that windfall of a huge amount of money, I think, yes, you can live on that for the rest of your life. I could absolutely live on 50 million.
If you manage it right.
Correct.
And you don't treat the whole neighborhood out every day for dinners and buy endless car. I mean, Mike Tyson, he pissed away $100 million. 100 million gone.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's easy to do too. It's not that hard to do. I mean, 100 million, easily do the math. You can start off, just buy, I don't know, 20 mansions. Each mansion's 5 million. Boom, done.
Oh, sure.
Now you got taxes. Buy 7 or 8 big yachts. Buy a private Learjet. Pay for everybody else's rent and mortgage of your 50 friends. Now your 100 million is going. It's same thing with, if you're, I just got out of college, I got a great job, I'm making, starting out $200,000 a year. That's good. But I know a lot of people that make 200, 300, 400, 500, 600,000 a year. They're dead broke. They're in debt. I know these people. And it's just like, so, and I know people who make 50,000 a year and they got money in the bank. They live within their means. I mean, it's anyway. So, okay. So we took care of that. Let's move on, because I want to respect everybody's time. Everyone's got places to go. Okay. So our next topic, unless you wanted to add anything, Steph?
Nope.
Okay. So I wanted to do a review of, in prior episodes, as you know, I signed up for, there was 2 main therapy counseling apps, Talkspace and BetterHelp. So I did an episode about this. You can check it out on our Wellness Week Facebook, YouTube page. But I did the initial review of, I signed up for both and which one I was going to go with. And so that was the initial review. Now I'm doing my end review. I've already done 2 months of it once a week. And I went with, ultimately I went with BetterHelp. They're both good, Talkspace, BetterHelp. And it's just, on your phone, online, you can do FaceTime counseling. You can do on the phone counseling, or you do text counseling. I chose to do FaceTime, which is a little bit more money. It's about approximately $200 a month, which is good when you break it down, because sometimes I've gone to counseling in the past, old school, just face to face. That can be like $150, $200 for 1 hour session. So you're getting 4 sessions for about $200, the 30-minute sessions. And I loved it. I mean, it was great. I highly recommend it to anyone. Don't wait until you have some crises. And I get it. Money doesn't fall from the sky. You know, if $200 a month is, something you can't, and you have to do the package deal. You can't do it per week. It has to be out of your credit card, $200, boom, and then you get the whatever, the 4 weeks. So I did 8. But anyways, I found it to be great. My therapist was great. You have thousands of therapists to choose from. You can type in, you want a Muslim therapist, an atheist therapist, you want a woman therapist, you want a therapist that has 5 PhDs and 1 PhD. You want them to be white, black, rich, poor, whatever. It doesn't matter. And that was really cool. Both of the apps, Talkspace and BetterHelp, you have such customized ability to kind of get what you want. Now, you might not get your first choice in therapist, but all the therapists' resumes are up there, their photo, everything, so you know what you're getting. It's not some seedy, weird, like, I don't know who I'm talking to. Their photo, their picture, the number, their education, their experience, whatever. I had a therapist named Jean, African-American woman, just a great therapist. And also you can choose to the detail of, do you want the therapist to listen more or give advice more? So like, oh, cool. So you can even pick that. So I chose more listening because I'm a yapper. And, she would give me some projects to do, like little things like that, which I like. You can do that too. Do you want projects or not want projects? Whatever. But it was very instrumental. And I'll go back down the road, because it is not cheap, but it's better cost than going face to face, with somebody. And I highly recommend it. And if you're a human being, like I always say, it's not mental health, because that's a non-starter. It's mind health. We all have a mind. And it's okay to have a sore throat, but you can't have a sore mind. Come on, folks. That's childish. We all need therapy. We all need, if you don't want to call it therapist, life coaching. Whatever gets you there, do it. Especially if you're a nurse, a doctor, a cop, a teacher, a soldier. Those are the 5 jobs. You have to do it. You have to. Nurse, doctor, cop, teacher, and soldier. It should be mandatory. Everyone should go. Unfortunately, it's opt in, not opt out when you're in these jobs, and it's frowned upon. But they don't say it's frowned upon, but wink, wink. Can you imagine if you're a doctor and they find out you're going to therapy? Oh my God, or you're a cop going to therapy. They'd rather die. And they do. Suicide rates of doctors, very high. Cops, very high. Soldiers, very high. They're not getting the help they need, most of them. They're internalizing and they're suffering. And my thing is, this is a great tool. And it's a tool. I'm not saying it's going to cure all your problems, but it's a tool. And I can't speak highly enough about BetterHelp or Talkspace. I went with BetterHelp only because they're basically the same. But I went BetterHelp because I thought that for me at least, the interface was a little bit easier. That's my opinion. And I thought BetterHelp had a little bit better of a deal. They had like some coupon they were running. So I love coupons. But Talkspace is just as good too, because I signed up for both. So I can tell you the interfaces are basically the same, carbon cutout. You just click and hit the buttons with your thumb. You don't have to really type much. Very easy drop down menus. But check it out, folks. Do it. I highly recommend it. If you're a teenager, do it. Teenagers, your hormones, you're going through puberty, your stress, and maybe, you don't want to physically walk into a therapist because you're wondering, is anybody going to see me walk into this building? This is discreet. I'm in my car. I'm talking, so I can't say it enough for people to go. And to go, I went and I didn't have any immediate problems that were acute, by the way, Steph. So it wasn't like, my world was crumbling around me. That wasn't the case. But, I had my normal life stuff, right? My normal stress. I talked about my panic attacks. I talked about, my business life. I talked about, some friends and family relationships, but it was good. It was a prophylactic in a sense. It was I got ahead of things, or a prelude. I didn't wait till my world was crumbling, and because we don't know when our world's going to crumble. And I think it's a good thing to do this as a practice. So now I'm like, okay, I did it. It was cool. So now I have it in my back pocket in the future. I can just click if I'm going through something and, see the same therapist if I want or get a new one. And if you don't like the therapist, they don't push you. They're not like, oh, why are you leaving? And, act now, get a free t-shirt. That's what I love about this too. There's a little bit of buffer zone. So anyways, I highly recommend it to anyone. You don't have to be in those 5 professional job positions, but you're a human being. Again, we all have our mind issues, and you're not crazy, relax, it's childish, but it's so, so important to talk to someone that's not your wife, not your husband, not your best friend. You should talk to them too. But it's nice to have a person that doesn't have anything, a vested interest in anything. They have a neutral keel about them. So I highly recommend, again, get on BetterHelp or Talkspace. There's other ones too out there, but those are the 2 big ones. And yeah. So anyways, any questions, Steph?
At the end of your 8 weeks, how did you feel? Like, what did you think you got out of it?
Oh yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. I'm a big, and again, to each his own. Some people love going to therapy forever and ever and ever and ever, and that's great too. But for me, I like a start and a stop, and then I'll pick up if I need to down the road. So like I said, I've gone to therapy on and off in my life. When I need it, I go. It's like taking a throat lozenge. If I need it, I do it. Like that, or taking your medicine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for me, my big thing was addressing my panic attacks because you were with me and see me in my panic attack mode, and she really helped me out with that. She helped just kind of in life, we know intellectually, like, okay, whatever it may be, right? Like I have this phobia or this fear or this stressor. We know what we should do, but sometimes we need someone else to tell us. We need to hear it from somebody else. Hey, guess what? It's okay, or this is what you need to do. And even though we know that, we need to hear the renaissance from somebody else. And a friend is great. A family member is great. That's good. But when you hear a professional tell you something, it weighs more and it hits harder and it means more. So she was telling me about my panic attacks. Like, Anthony, you realize nothing is going to happen, right? Like you're not going to die. You're not going to get sick. And I knew that. But when Jean told me that, it was a big card in the deck. It was an ace card. Yeah. And again, did that cure everything? No. But her telling me that, us talking about that, me changing my diet, getting off the caffeinated coffee, which was really probably the big ace card for me because I was drinking 5 cups a day, and coffee does it. And sure enough, so the coffee going to just no caffeinated drinks anymore, decaf coffee or decaf tea, and then with Jean talking about the panic attacks and including better nutrition into my diet, more magnesium, eating more spinach, things like that, because magnesium helps with cortisol and stress. These things came together, but yeah, so she did great because she was an important, integral part of me getting over or managing the panic attack where I didn't need to go on medication. And I'm all for medication if one needs to, but for me particularly, I didn't need to, and she was an integral part of it. And as you know, my panic attack was pretty bad. I mean, I had to go to I went to the hospital, so I mean, there's no joke. There's no bullshit. So I'm let people know this because if I can do it, you can do it. And again, if you need to go on medication, that's great. But medication has its pros and cons. So I would say try talk therapy first. Try BetterHelp or Talkspace. Look at your diet. Again, I was drinking a lot of coffee. Anyways, but yeah, to your point, I felt that Jean helped me with that. Jean also helped me with my love life, let's just say, like talking about trials and tribulations of love, like it was nice to hear. And it was also from a woman, so she's a woman, she's married, she has a family. And it was, again, all these things we know, but when you hear it, especially from a pro, it's like, oh, okay, it means much more. So yeah, it was a good start, a good stop. I got what I needed. Boom, done, out, and it took me, 8 minutes, and again, it might take someone 4 visits. It might take someone 500 visits, whatever, but I got something out of it. And that's what I got out of it, to answer your question.
So I think that you made a good point there, because I think one of the things that people are afraid about when they go to therapy is that it's just going to be this ongoing, forever kind of situation. And what you said right now has a lot of value, because you had to start, you had to stop, and you don't have to go for a full year or until the unknown. 8 weeks, you got what you needed. And at some point in the future, if you feel like you want to go back, you can. And there's nothing wrong with going all the time. I mean, there's value to that too. But I think for people who like that kind of structure, you hit the nail on the head. That's an option.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yeah. And you got to do a minimum of 4 visits. You can't do 1 or 2. It's a minimum of 4. And then your credit card gets automatically billed unless you say stop. But then, whenever you say stop, you'll get, so after your 4th visit, if you say stop, the algorithm already bills you. You have to say stop at like your first visit, and then if you say stop at your first visit, then you only got to finish like the 3 or 4 visits. But if you say stop at your last visit, it's going to automatically bill you for another cycle, which is whatever, not the worst thing in the world. But anyways, but yeah, right. The other worry is I don't like having this indirect passive aggressive pressure like, oh, you sure you want to stop? Yeah, I'm sure. Like
Right.
and it's a little easier because you're on video, you're not face to face, and again, they weren't pushy about it. It was just and much easier to say no because you're just dealing with an algorithm. So when it comes to the billing process,
Yeah.
but yeah, I highly recommend it to everybody, especially men, because men are they're too tough. Hey, I don't do it, whatever. And women too. We all need it. So and also you can do group therapy on it. So you can have your whole family or your friends and have a therapist on the screen, and you can have 10 of you in the room, and just she can or he can referee a debate. We're having a problem in our family, and that's nice too.
Yeah.
So
And
anyway,
that's a great option.
100%. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying it's going to cure all your problems, but it's a really good tool. It'll cure, I would say, 40% of your problems. It's a really good tool. So, anyways, and no one has to know. It's discreet. It's not. So if you're worried about what people are going to say at your job because you're a cop or you're a soldier or you're a nurse or a doctor, no one's going to know, dude. So. And anyways, so all right, cool. So yeah, if you don't have any other questions, we'll move on to the next one.
Let's move on.
All right, our last one is so I started a group, as you know, Steph, called Anthony Paul's Dinner Nights Out, because I see, like a lot of people see, we all go out, and I'm guilty of this too. We go out to dinner, or we're having dinner in our home, or we're hanging out in the backyard, and everyone's doing this. It's just like, can you be in the moment? Hello, and I'm guilty of that. And so I went out a while back. I went out by myself, left the phone in the car. And I went out by myself with the phone in the car, and I had the most pleasurable, amazing experience. It's kind of sad to say this, but I was like, whoa, I was in tune with my surroundings at this restaurant. I sat at the bar, and the smells smelled better. The sounds sounded better. The sights were better. I was so more open to, like, and people were like approaching me and conversing with me. And I was like, that's odd. I think people see that I wasn't preoccupied going, and I was like looking around and making eye contact, and strangers were talking to me, and it was just great. And I was like, wow. And then I had an epiphany. I said, wait, I should do this with a group. So once a month now we go out, and we had our first maiden voyage this past weekend. We went out to a high-end pizza bar and grill, and there was like 6 or 7 of us. And it was just awesome. There was no phones. So we had to talk, and we had to think of things to talk about. And, we had to be bored for a minute or two and start a conversation. And, some people were married, some people were single. And it was just, flirting with the waitresses and, just laughing and being in the moment. It was so refreshing. And I was like, wow, I'm onto something here. And, I brought a Polaroid camera with me to take photos because no cell phones are allowed in the restaurant. And the rule is, if you need to go, have a cigarette break, cell phone break, you go to your car, play with your cell phone, and go to your car, and then come back in, and a big girl, and get back to the conversation, talk to the people around you, and and it was just so awesome because I was living my life. This is not life. That's not life. This is life. You're here, and guess what? Yeah, you might be bored. Yeah, because when you're bored, then it forces you to think of things. I don't know. I got to think of a conversation to have with this person. And it was great. It was like, I am alive. I am here. And I would recommend anyone, you don't have to go join Anthony Paul's Dinner Club. I would tell anyone watching, do it once a day where the phone is not down, in another room, and have your breakfast or have your dinner. Or even if you're by yourself, just put the phone away and eat that meal. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner with your family. Everyone, cell phones in the room, upstairs, where, and yeah, maybe there'll be no conversation, but you're in the moment. The food tastes better. The sounds are better. Everything is just better. And so that's what I got out of this Anthony Paul's Dinner Night Out. And by the way, I would encourage anyone watching this, start one in your neighborhood, start one with your friends, do once a month, do once every other month, do once a week, whatever. So we did Italian, authentic Neapolitan thin crust pizza at this high-end restaurant. And now this week coming up on May 15th, we're going to do Korean barbecues. So that's another thing too. We're able to kind of visit different restaurants. And I didn't know, but a lot of people in the group, we have like 50 members, a lot of people are like, oh, I never had Korean barbecue, which is kind of odd because in this New York, New Jersey area, Korean barbecue is everywhere. But it's nice that I'm able to, because I'm in the entertainment business, kind of like lead people and say, hey, don't worry, it's okay, try it out. It's great, like so.
Right.
It's sense of adventure almost. You say, oh wow, I never had Korean, but what is that? So you come in, you're gonna find out, and we're gonna have conversation, and you're gonna, it's really interesting and cool. So every time I'm gonna try to also do something different ethnically too. So maybe next month will be Indian food, or go to an Irish pub, or things like that, or go to a nice pancake house for a breakfast. So that coupled with, again, the cell phone is gone. You're in the moment, and so anyways, that's my review, and that's another form of therapy. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's a de-stressor. It's just so freeing. It's like I am here for an hour, for a half hour, whatever it is. For us it was like 2.5 hours, but and chatting with strangers too, who saw us, they heard us talking about this. Oh, I didn't bring my cell phone. It was just so much fun, and anyways, I can't highly recommend it enough. And I encourage you, Steph, if you don't already do it at your house. Go, all right, folks, tonight dinner or whatever it is. Keep the
we do that at dinner every single night. We don't have technology at the table.
Good.
Yeah. That's our time. Once a day, dinner time is our time. And
yeah. And you know what? So what if you have nothing to say? Cool. Being bored is great. It makes the mind think of things. Tomorrow I got to go do that. Cool. Like that, like what happened to being bored, folks? That's a good thing. Being bored makes you think. Come up with ideas. You come up with something to say. You reassess things. You're paying attention to the food. Oh wow, this really tastes better than I thought. Because if you're eating like this and you're like, you're not even there, bro. Put this damn thing down. And again, cell phones are great. They're a blessing. I was just saying before. BetterHelp therapy, cell phone. It's a blessing. The cell phone. But it's like a fire. It can cook a meal or it can burn a house down. This can't be in your face all the. Put it in the car. Hold on. And so, any questions, Steph?
No, I mean, I think it's great. I'm looking forward to going one of these nights.
Yeah. Every month, once a month. Sometimes it'll be twice a month. I mean, there's so many places to visit and go, and we're very lucky in this New York City area.
Yes,
to have a plethora of restaurants and eateries and cafes, and I mean, we take for granted. I mean, on one street there could be Indian, Irish, Italian, Vietnamese, whatever cafe. I mean, it's just so rich of things to do. That's the other thing, because we're always just doing this. We don't. Oh, I didn't know there was Korean restaurants. I didn't know there was a Vietnamese restaurant. I didn't know there was an Irish, a pub that just opened up, or a new Italian eatery, a Chinese restaurant. Like, wow, like, not every, get out, sit down, sit outside, sit inside, whatever. So I'm glad you do that with your family, that, hey, cell phone's down. Because I hate not to make it sad, but you only have a small window of opportunity with your daughter, because she's going to go on with her life and go to college and, do what she's going to do, move out of the house. This window is short. And so to have a conversation with her, to argue with her, these are short moments.
Yeah.
We take it for granted. It's just like, no, man, let's have that conversation. And that's the other thing too. When you come to our dinner clubs, and if you start one on your own, folks, there's no cell phones and there's no politics. No one's allowed to, and I police that shit. So I don't want anyone talking. I don't care. And,
and that's a great rule.
Yeah. I don't want to hear politics, and so some people might say, hey, what is that talk about? Come on, think. You could talk about sports. You could talk about art, food, cartoons, movies, TV. You could talk about anything. Fashion,
right, your kids,
vacation. There's so much to talk about. So, and you can leave the venom of politics. And nobody. I love politics too, but you can leave the venom of politics for 2 hours. Okay, and it's just a nice cleanse. It's a good mind cleanse, and it's just, wow, this is what being human's about. It's like, wow. And, the people that were there this past Saturday were really from different backgrounds and different walks of life. And it was nice because you see, oh, okay. I didn't think of that. Like, they do this, or she does this or whatever. So yeah, I highly recommend people, you can join mine if you live in the area here, or you just start your own. It doesn't take any money.
Yeah.
And it's a Facebook group. And so it's just really, really cool. And then waiters and the people that were there found out about it, and they're like, "Oh, that's so great." I'm like, "Yeah, you should do it too." So, anyways,
looking forward to it. I'm going to join you.
Yeah, the weather's warmer.
Outdoor ones, yeah.
Yeah, so weather's warmer, and yeah, you'll be great. And our friend John loved it, and uh, I loved it, and whatever. So yeah, we're doing Korean barbecue next, which is going to be a little pricey. So I told everyone that this is not fast food meat. This is Korean barbecue meat, which is a very expensive cut, a quality cut of food. So, but I always tell people ahead of time too. This is what you can expect. I tell them where we're going too, so if they want to look it up,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's more than about food, though. That's the thing. So I would tell people, like, don't necessarily look at the price, because it's about connecting. It's about being around humans. It's about, you know, learning and being in the moment. That's what the price includes too. So like
Yeah.
Korean
It's
barbecue
great.
is more expensive, but it's not just about the food, so you got to think out of the box above that.
Yeah. And that's a form of therapy too.
Well, that's the problem, especially nowadays. Again, because we're all, like humans are made to be in front of humans physically. We're made for that. We're not made for that. And this is why mental health or mind health, as I was saying before in the segment earlier in this episode, we need to be with people. That's what God made us for. We're made to be in communion and community with each other. We're made to shake a hand. We're made to give a hug. We're made to argue. We're made to disagree. I don't like the Mets, I like the Yankees. That's what's going to happen at these dinners. We need this. I need this. It's help from. It's all of us.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
And so, anyways, but all right, that's it. We solved the world's problems.
As always.
Bada boom, bada bing. So, Mommy Mondays is now concluded. Padre Santo Spirito Nome. Go and
Thank you.
service the
Thank
love of
you.
the Lord. All right, thank you, everybody. So, thank you, Steph. And by the
Thanks,
way,
man.
is it my best friend's birthday, or it already passed?
Oh no, it's today.
Oh, snap. Okay, I'm gonna send you a little video, and you can just show him then, okay? Because I want to send
Sounds
him a
good.
video message. Yeah. I'm already thinking now what I can do. But all right, so that's good.
Yeah, it's today. It's today.
All right, he's probably be like, you know what I want? Everyone just leave me alone. Leave me
Can I just
alone.
lay on the
Oh,
can I
that's
just
what I
lay
want for
on
a
the couch
gift.
in peace?
That's what I want for a gift. Leave me alone.
Pretty much on point right there.
That's like my dad too. I don't want to be alone. All right. So, and he's lucky. He has you and your daughter. No, I'm serious. Those are gifts, and you guys have him, and but it's again, we take for granted these things. So speaking of gifts and all that stuff. But anyways, all right, girls and guys. Thank you, Steph. I'm out of here.